Woohoo! Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about formulas for squaring a binomial and for finding the product of a sum and a difference. Woohoo! Yay! So this follows up immediately from part 2. As you can see, we were practicing with FOIL and noticing that in the last two problems, if you multiply a binomial times its twin, you get the square of a binomial and something interesting happens. And here, if you multiply, these are not really identical twins, they're like fraternal twins, an x plus 3 times an x minus 3, you end up with the middle just completely disappearing. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to say, you know what, whenever we see a pattern like that, we're actually going to set out to find out what the pattern is. And in this case, pardon me, Godzilla, in this case, I'm going to use letters A and B. This is very traditional to use A and B. And what we're going to do is we're going to just create a formula. So instead of having to do the multiplication over and over again, I can instead maybe memorize the formula if I want. So let's go ahead and work it out. So A plus B times the quantity A plus B. Now to find this, I could either use the method we were using before, or since we just learned it, FOIL. I know this is kind of a weird video. The sun is up. I know. Usually mathematicians turn to dust. Don't we, Vlad? Blah, blah, we sparkle. So yes, mathematicians normally sparkle, but I am doing this during the daylight, so I'm sorry. This is very exciting, having shadows and stuff. Ooh. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply that. So I've got A plus B in one set of parentheses, and then its twin. So this is A plus B, the quantity squared. They're identical twins. They have to be exactly the same. And so FOIL says first, so the first two, those are both A's. Outer, so the outside on the left and the outside on the right, A times B. It's conveniently, this has all pluses, but we could do it with minuses too if we felt like it. Inner, this is going to be B times A. And last, B times B. Okay, so it's interesting because I'm already noticing some interesting patterns here, because I see that I get A squared, right? A times A is squared, plus AB, plus, now this is BA, but remember, I can use the commutative property of multiplication to rewrite this as AB, and then BB is just B squared, and then, oh my goodness, I know, I'm very excited. Godzilla, you excited? Godzilla's very excited. Everyone's very excited. A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. That's what we noticed in the previous video, that we get a double middle. So if you square a binomial, something times itself, the middle part just gets doubled. It's really nice. So you get the first one squared, the last one squared. Notice that you don't just get the first and the last one squared, though. You get this double yummy nougat middle in the middle. Okay, so now we're very excited. I'm very excited. I can't tell you. I don't know how to contain my excitement. Ooh. So let's work on the product of a sum and a difference. This is a little bit different. This is if you have two things that look like they could be twins, but more of fraternal twins, because the first one, or the second one to be honest, has a plus, and the other one has a minus. So there has to be one plus and one minus. Not a perfect square, but close. Then if we multiply that out, let's use FOIL, F-O-I-L. So first, we're going to get the same things, A times A, outer, A times B, but this time it's negative. There's a minus in front of it. So I should say it's the opposite. The middle, B times A, and the last, the opposite of B times B, because there's one minus. So I get A squared minus AB plus, now I've got BA, but I can use that commutative property of multiplication to write it as AB minus B squared. And what happens in the middle, instead of getting a double marshmallow twist, they cancel each other out. And I get no middle, A squared minus B squared. The whole thing goes and shrinks down. Isn't that cool? And so then I can write it out on another piece of paper, which if you find it useful, great. If you don't, just close your eyes for a little bit. So these are our two situations. If I've got a perfect square, A plus B times A plus B, or A minus B times A minus B, so perfectly matching, matchy, then I get the double middle. I get that nice nougaty 2AB, or if there are minuses in the middle, minus 2AB. Okay? If I have one has a plus and one have a minus, then I end up with A squared minus B squared, like I did here, no middle. Now, you'll notice I have 4 names for this. This is because we have different ways to refer to this because according to what we're going to use it for. So if we're squaring, this is called the square of a binomial. And the result that we get is a perfect square. If we multiply a plus 1 and a minus 1, this is the product of a sum and a difference. And the results that we get, this thing is called a difference. Difference means minus of 2 squares, difference of squares. And I know this is confusing. People are like, seriously, you've got one thing with 2 names and this has 2 names? And the answer is yes. And this, believe it or not, helps to make sense, whether you're talking about the beginning part or the results, the multiplication part or the results. So we've got all of these, and if you want to take a screenshot, I don't know if it's worthwhile, you don't have to. Let's go ahead and see if we can make use of these new formulas. Yay! And so the question always comes up, do we have to memorize the formulas? And the answer is no. All these formulas, everything we just did, you saw me do them. You can actually come up with the formulas using FOIL. If anyone ever asks you, you need to know these formulas, you can quickly multiply them out and come up with them. It's pretty straightforward. So you don't have to memorize them. However, we are going to be going the other way. We are going to start on the right, either here or here, and try to get back to the original problem. And for that reason, it's a good idea to use them enough so you're very familiar. And yes, I would encourage you, if you're able to memorize these formulas, do. They will come in conveniently. You'll use them a lot. Okay, let's do it. Woohoo! So for all of the rest of the problems in this section, it's going to be very important that you decide, is this a perfect, are these perfect twins? Or are these like fraternal twins that look very similar, but there are some differences? So here I've got 1 minus 4x, and here I've got 1 plus 4x. Since one's a minus, one's a plus, we are in this land. Okay. So I've got, let's see, I'm going to write out the formula right here. I'm going to write out the problem, and then up above it, I'm going to write the formula. And the first thing you're going to notice is, wait a minute, hello, the plus is supposed to come first, not second. And I'm going to say these two are being multiplied, right? It's the product. So I can take the order and I can switch it. So if the minus comes first, that's fine. As long as there's 1 minus and 1 plus, you're golden. And when you multiply these, you're going to get a squared minus b squared. This is the formula. Can you multiply these using FOIL? Yes. Can you multiply these using the distributive property? Yes. Lots of options. The more you're familiar with, the easier the math will be. So just, you know what your brain can handle. You know how you work best. But I encourage you to understand as much as you can to give yourself choices. So I've got this formula, which I wrote backwards, but again, Multiplication works that way. And I have to recognize that in this case, come on, the A is 1. Okay, so that's the important part to begin with. And then the B, in this case, right there, is 4x. Notice that the A and the B in this setting don't have signs. I'm not using signs for them. So my A is just the 1 squared, and my B is just the 4x, the quantity squared. So I get 1 minus, and remember to square everybody in this. So it's 4 squared and x squared, so I get 16x squared, and we're done. So the formula takes some of the extra work out. Woohoo! Let's do another one. Yay! Okay, now this one we're told it's a square. So I've got 1 minus 4x times the quantity 1 minus 4x. I got to be honest with you, there are 2 ways to deal with this. Again, back in the old days when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, we were only given one formula. We were only given this formula, and we were told to just deal with minuses and figure it out, because that was the way life was. Life was cheap. There was no time for them to explain minuses. They were too busy. But you know what? I'm explaining minuses here. So, you choose. You do you. Whatever method makes the most sense. You can actually use either formula if you're careful. I'm just going to use this formula, though. So I've got the formula A minus B times the quantity A minus B. And that's going to give me what I expect with the double middle, that chewy goodness right there in the middle, but it's going to be a minus 2AB. So I've got an A squared minus 2AB plus B squared. And then I'm going to match that up, matchy matchy. So my A, which I used yellow for, my A is 1. So everywhere that I see an A or an A squared, I'm going to put in a 1. So far, so good. There's my A squared, 1 squared, and my 2A, 2 times 1. And then my B is just the 4x. If I use this formula that has the, see how the minuses line up? I don't have to worry about the minuses. So everywhere I see a B, I put in 4x. Chai says hi. If you could hear that big crash, Chai is trying to get my attention. We're just going to keep doing math. So B is 4x. So this B is going to be 4x, and then I get B squared, which is 4x, the quantity squared. So the whole thing is 1. And then this is a whole lot, but I'm going to get negative 28x. Oh, I'm not going to get negative 28x. What? Oh my goodness, look, it's pterodactyl. Ooh, don't look at the paper. Okay, what should it be? You guys got it. Yes, exactly. Negative 2 times 1 times 4 is negative 8. Okay, thank you, brain. And then 4x, the quantity squared. Remember to square both parts. So you square the 4, that's 16x squared. So there's that double in the middle, right? We've got 4 x's in the problem, so we get 8x in the answer. Woohoo. Okay, you guys ready? Dun, dun, dun! Let's do one that's a little bit harder. Now, which formula are we going to use for this one? And we look at it, we've got a plus there and a minus there. Either I've got the identical twins, both pluses, both minuses. If one's a plus, one's a minus, I got to use this formula. So we've got the product of a sum and a difference. And to be honest, most people just call this difference of squares. So it's the difference of squares formula. Okay. So I've got A plus B, A minus B equals A squared minus B squared. And some people ask me, do we really have to write out the whole formula? And the answer that I would give you is, I encourage it, because every time you write the formula out, your hand learns the formula a little better. really and for truly. So writing it out. For some people, it's more effective than others. Some people, it doesn't. You don't learn a lot from writing. Some people learn everything from writing. So when you write it, I would honestly find yourself in a place where you can be loud and say it out loud. The quantity a plus b times the quantity a minus b, or a plus b times a minus b is a squared minus b squared. Be able to say it out loud, be able to write it. If you feel like doing a whole dance to it, you'll learn it better. Write yourself a song. You know, whatever helps you to learn things. Do art about it. Think about it. Put it on little post-it notes all over the house. Talk about it at dinner. Okay, so what did I do? I labeled with the colors. A is little 2a to the fourth. Now, if this a and this a, that's just too close for you, you can always change the letters you use. If you'd rather use c plus d, c minus d, c squared minus d squared, go for it. You can use symbols. This could be a star and this could be a square. You know, lots of different ways to do it. I've had students who do everything entirely with colors. What does that mean? You could write out the formulas. I've had students who prefer this. And of course, this is not helpful if you have trouble with colors, or if your brain likes to look at symbols, you know, in black and white rather than colors. So obviously this will not work for everyone, but for some folks, maybe just a color-coded formula works. If it doesn't work for you, use another method. If none of the methods work for you in the video, please talk to me. Let's figure out another way. I'm sure we're all very smart. We can come up with a way that'll make it make sense. Okay, so a squared, that's the first one. That's the 2a to the fourth, little a to the fourth. And then b squared, that's going to be the ab. Now we just have to remember the rules for exponents. Remember, everybody gets squared. So this is going to be 2 squared and a to the fourth squared minus a squared b squared. And some folks are like, why are you writing it out? And the answer is, this is more complicated. Do you have to write it out like this? No. Skip these steps. If your brain already knows how to do this, awesome. If your brain is, you know, like mine, needs a little bit more help, then write more out. You know, you do you. A to the fourth squared. Remember, here we're going to multiply, so I get a to the eighth, not a to the sixth. This is a to the eighth. And then a squared, b squared. And we got it. Woo! I personally really like this difference of squares, the product of a sum and a difference, because things disappear. I like that it doesn't just get longer and longer. I like that it goes shrinks down. Okay, we are almost there. Woohoo! Dun dun dun! Same basic terms, but now it's a perfect square. So we've got a perfect square, which means 2a to the fourth plus ab times 2a to the fourth plus ab. So we're going to be using a plus b times a plus b, or you could just call it the a plus b to the quantity squared formula, your choice. Now here, try to write it out. Try to remember what it is. I'll go ahead and write it out in a second, but think about what you just don't look at the notes. Just think, what is it? It's the first one squared, right? It's the last one squared. It's all pluses, so you don't have to worry about signs. It's all going to be pluses, and it's a double middle. Double nougat or caramel or marshmallow, whatever you like in the middle, or I don't know, pepperoni, whatever goes in the middle for you, cheese. Broccoli, I'm sure there's someone out there who's like, yes, broccoli. You know, whatever the goodness in the middle. Oh my goodness. Oh, what did I do? Oh, perfect example. My brain was doing one thing while my hand was doing something else. Oh no, pterodactyl. Ah. What did I miss? You got it. There should be, I'm not going to be able to fit it in, so let me white it out. Thank you for catching that. I could hear the sound of 1,000 voices all crying out, no, you left off the 2. double middle goodness. So first one squared, last one squared, and then each one comes into the middle and gets doubled. So 2 times a times b. What's the first one? It's 2a to the fourth plus 2, squared. 2 times 2a to the fourth. What's b? The second one, second term is ab plus ab, the quantity squared. So again, look at what this looks like. It's the first term squared, it's the last term squared, and then you bring them together and multiply by 2. Bring them together and multiply by 2. Okay, so I already did this. This is 4a to the 8th plus, now this is a lot going on. 2 times 2 is 4. I've got an a to the 4th times an a and a b. And then over here, I've got ab, the quantity squared, a squared, b squared. Woohoo! Woohoo! And now, the piece of resistance. The piece de resistance. So, we've got the last one. Of course, the last one's going to be complicated. And this one is not simple. But I wanted to show you this one because it's a type of problem that they've got in the book. And some folks think they're really cool, and some people think that they're really a pain in the butt. And I'm going to show you how to do them, regardless of how you feel about it. So, when we look at this one, it's very frustrating. Because the question of, are they identical or are they fraternal, is confusing because there are 2 signs in each one. They both have the plus right there, but this one has a second plus and this one has a minus. Seriously, what is going on? I feel like stomping on things. You can always stomp on things. Don't hurt your feet. Don't hurt your Godzilla. Don't hurt your things. Stomp on things metaphorically or something that is okay to stomp. Like a stomp rocket. Those are fun. But once you're done stomping, then let's sit down and think about it. The first thing to consider whenever you're doing homework is that I think you can do it. So it is possible for you to do. Now, sometimes this is very frustrating because you're like, no, it's not. The other thing is you can always ask for help. Talk to me. Talk to the tutors. The goal is not to frustrate you. The goal is to challenge you and to give you an opportunity to practice and level up. Because that's what the goal is here. I'm taking the gloves off. We're not going to candy coat anything. We're getting you ready for calculus. We want you to succeed in calculus. Calculus is challenging. And in order to succeed in calculus, you need to really level up those skills. So this is an example. So, okay. 5y plus 4 plus 5x times 5y plus 4. Oh, there's a mistake. No, you can't do this problem. Oh my goodness. What? There have been so many pterodactyls in this video. Pterodactyl, look, don't look. Oh my goodness. I have deep regrets. Deep regrets. Heads will roll. Sorry. This should be minus 5x. I think some of you figured that out. You're like, wait a minute, there's a typo. Ugh. I fear I have lost your goodwill, and I am so sorry. So, let me restart. Everything I said is still true, except now there's no typo. So, 5y plus 4 plus 5x, 5y plus 4 minus 5x. And so the idea here is the way that the trick to this, and this is something that's going to come up a lot in math, is to think, okay, this is the framework, right? These are the things I'm supposed to be working within. I look at this and I see that everything is not exactly the same. So we're not in the top. The top is everything is exactly the same. So we must be in the bottom. We must be here. There's a plus and then there's a minus. And so the trick is to see that, oh, if I link these and I make this A plus B, and I make this, the whole thing is A minus B, then I've got the product of a sum and a difference. So a plus b times the quantity a minus b gives us a squared minus b squared. Okay, so I know the sun is coming through. This is so weird. There's not usually this much sun. The sun is trying to save you from the math. So I've got 5y plus 4 plus 5x times 5y plus 4 minus 5x. So the a here is this 5y plus 4. And I hear you already. You're like, are you just allowed to like group stuff like that? And the answer is yes. Sure, you are. Isn't that cool? And if you're saying to me, but we didn't know that, I'm like, I know. That's the great thing about taking a class, is this is me telling you about it. This is when you learn. This is when I say, hey, there's this cool trick I know. And then you say, well, I don't think this is a cool trick. I think this is evil. And I say, well, you know, potato, tomato. Cool trick, evil trick. It gets a little fuzzy when it comes to math. But, see if I can, the sun is just relentless. Oh, is that gonna, can I put up a thing? Can I hold up a thing? There we go. Okay. So, I know the sun is trying to be helpful, but not so helpful. Okay, so I've got a plus b, 5y plus 4 plus 5x. Then a minus b, 5y plus 4 minus 5x equals 5y plus 4 squared. That's the a, that's the first piece right there, minus b squared. That's the 5x part. And then we realize the true evil. Now, what's the true evil? The true evil is this has the difference of squares formula, but oh my gosh, this is the square of a binomial. Oh, evil. We're going to use both formulas in the same problem. I know. Sometimes it do be like that. Okay, so let me see if I can hold this in place while we work this out. So 5y plus 4, the quantity squared, that's going to give me 5y squared, and then 4 squared, right? The first one squared and the last one squared. And then remember what is in the middle? The delicious double. 2 times 5y times 4 plus. So this says the quantity 5y squared plus 2 times 5y times 4 plus 4 squared minus 5x, the quantity squared. So then I get 25y squared. Now this one's 2 times 5 times 4. 2 times 5 is 10 times 4 is 40y. 4 squared is 16. 25x, the quantity squared. And we're done. You did it. Now, is this one easy? No. Am I expecting that I just showed it to you and now you know it? No. I'm actually expecting that for a lot of folks, this is just the beginning for this type of problem. And I encourage you, because this problem comes back up in many forms. So if you come across a problem like this, or if you're doing this one in the homework, because I've got at least one of these in the homework, if not more, and you get stuck, please ask for more. Please ask for explanation. Please ask for help. And we will go through this if it takes a dozen times, more than. We will go through this until your eyes can start see the patterns, because this is going to come up again. But you guys are awesome. And right now, the trick will be to go take a break, because this has been 3 very exhausting videos, all part of P.5 in this particular class. And you guys are awesome and so smart. And I appreciate you sticking with me, even through the typos, even through all the pterodactyls and the sunshine and everything that has been relentless. We got through it together. You guys are awesome. So, I can't make it stay. I'm running out of hands. So on behalf of Godzilla and, Cameo from Sparkly Vampire, and, you guys are awesome. Go take a break. Know that you're awesome. And I think you're incredible. And woohoo, math on.